Hello everyone, this is Asara Sultana, Assistant Professor in Triple Department, working in ISL Engineering College. I am taking the subject High Voltage DC Transmission for Triple Final Year students. So last class I discussed about the smoothing reactor. Today's class I am going to discuss about DC line. So in the previous classes we have seen about the analysis, control and protection of converters. So in this chapter I am going to say about the some aspects of the equipment on the DC side, and in particular smoothing reactor and DC line will be discussed. Okay, so smoothing reactor already we have seen it in the previous class. So now we are going to discuss about the DC line. Smoothing reactor is connected before the DC filter and in series with the converters. Apart from smoothing the direct current, it will also serve as a buffer between the converters and the DC line. Sizing of the reactor depends on various requirements including the reduction of ripple in the current. DC line in case of a bipolar system consists of two conductors, one operating at positive polarity with respect to ground and another operating at negative polarity. Extra high voltage DC lines have bundle conductors to minimize the effects of corona. The design of a DC line is carried out with similar considerations as an AC line. However, performance of insulators is different with direct voltage and the problems of pollution are severe compared to the AC operation. But the converter control allows reduced voltage operation under heavy polluted conditions. Protection against faults in a DC line is invariably through the converter control, and this is mainly due to the non-availability of DC breakers in the early stages of introduction of HVDC systems. However, the reliability of converter control has led to its continued use even when DC breakers have been developed. DC breakers may be required under special operating requirement such as transfer from ground to metallic return and multi-terminal system operation. Corona effects, overvoltages, insulation and protection against faults are some of the aspects that will be discussed here. So some aspects of the metallic return and the operation of AC and DC lines in the same right of way will also be considered. So let us see the DC line. So we are going to first see about the corona effects. Corona is defined as luminous discharge due to ionization of air surrounding a conductor caused by a voltage gradient exceeding a certain value. Okay, what is a corona? Corona is nothing but it is a luminous discharge due to ionization of air surrounding a conductor caused by a voltage gradient exceeding certain value. So ionization will take place in a zone which is very thin circumferential layer. So what is ionization will take place in a zone which is very thin circumferential layer which is not more than 2 cm surrounding the conductor surface. Within this zone, high field strength causes high velocity particles to collide with the air molecules. Electrons will be removed from the atoms of the air molecules and they are accelerated towards the positive conductor or away from the negative conductor. These high velocity electrons will collide with each other and other air molecules, releasing additional electrons in an avalanche process. The ions carrying the same charge as the adjacent conductor are repelled from the ionization zone at the initial velocities of about 1.4 cm per second for positive ions and 1.6 cm per second for negative ions per every volt per centimeter of the field strength. Ions moving into the inter-electrode region between pole to pole or between pole to the ground recombine with oppositely charged ions or neutral molecules. To maintain the net charge in this region, corona current flows from the conductor by the movement of electrons in the ionization zone and by ions beyond this zone. The ion velocities at the ground level are in the range of 3 meter per second for typical voltage gradients. Ion movement in perfectly still air conditions is restricted to the electric field direction. However, with wind movement, ions will be randomly dispersed downwind from the DC line. Losses are also increased. The effects of corona are: first one is corona loss, second is radio and television interference, third is audible noise, fourth is space charge field. While the first three effects occur on AC lines also, last one is peculiar to DC lines. So first three effects will occur on AC lines also. Last one is peculiar to DC lines. It involves the effect of movement of ions, which will result in the increase in the voltage gradient at the ground level. Electrostatic field is defined as the field resulting from the charges on or near the conductor surface. The total electric field results from the superposition of the electrostatic and space charge fields. Corona loss. Power losses due to corona can be expressed as P loss is equal to 2V into K plus 1 Kc Nr 2 power 0.25 into G minus G naught into 10 power minus 3 kilowatt per circuit kilometer, where V is the pole to ground voltage in kilovolt, N is the number of subconductors, R is the radius of each subconductor in centimeters, G is the maximum conductor surface gradient at operating voltage in kilovolt per centimeter. G naught is 22 delta kilovolt per centimeter, where delta is the relative air density. Kc is the conductor surface coefficient, which varies from less than 0.15 for smooth, clean conductor to more than 0.35 for conductor with imperfections. And K is equal to 2 by pi tan inverse of 2h by s. H is the mean height of conductors. S is the pole spacing. Relative air density delta is given as 2.94 P divided by 273 plus T, where P is the barometric pressure in kilopascals, T is the temperature in centigrade. Morris and Maruwada have applied Mangold equation to the calculation of conductor surface gradients for bipolar lines. Maximum gradient G is given by G equal to 1 plus n minus 1 into R by R into V divided by NR log 2h by nr r power n minus 1 whole power half into 2h by s square plus 1 whole power half, where r is the radius of the circle passing through the centers of all subconductors in a bundle in centimeters. Other quantities are defined as earlier. Ln refers here to the natural logarithm. The power loss predicted by equation 7, that is this equation, P loss equation. Okay. So power loss represented by that equation gives correctly the mean fair weather corona loss levels. With rain, the DC losses may increase by a factor of 10 to 1, while AC losses may increase by 50 to 1. However, average ratio of rain weather loss to fair weather loss varies from 2 to 4, with higher ratios applicable to operation at lower gradients. The bipolar corona loss per pole is higher than the monopolar corona loss by a factor of 1.5 to 2.5. However, per given voltage, positive and negative polarity losses are approximately equal. DC corona losses usually increase with wind velocity in the range of 0 to 10 milli per second. Radio interference RI. The most predominant corona effect that may determine the conductor design is the radio interference. This is measured at a frequency of 1 MHz and for a receiver a bandwidth of 9 kHz at a horizontal distance of 30 meters from the outermost conductor. RI is mainly due to the positive conductor. This is because of the fact that corona discharges from the negative conductor are in the form of Trichel pulses which are uniformly distributed over the conductor surface. Positive corona discharges are of three types: Hermstein glow, plum discharge, and streamers. Plums and streamers are randomly distributed and their more persistent discharges are usually associated with high stress points due to surface imperfections. These are mainly responsible for the RI, radio interference. The expressions for RI in decibels above the field strength of 1 microvolt per meter is empirically obtained as RI is equal to 25 plus 10 log N plus 20 log R plus 1.5 into G minus G naught. This is due to the positive conductor. The RI due to the negative conductor is about 20 decibels lower and is of not of consequence. Interestingly, DC RI levels are decreased by rain and wet snow, which completely wet the conductor. This phenomenon is opposite to that in AC conductors. DC RI levels are increased by wind, with maximum increase during the wind flow from the negative to positive conductor. Bipolar lateral RI profile is symmetric about the positive pole and attenuates inversely as the square of the distance from the conductor initially up to 50 meters and inversely as the distance thereafter. The television interference TVI with DC lines is mainly due to the ion currents and is of the little consequence at distances greater than 25 meters from the right of way. Audible noise AN. Corona discharges from the conductor produce compressions and refractions that are propagated through the medium as acoustical energy. The portion of the acoustical energy spectrum that lies within the sonic range is perceived as audible noise AN. The sound level is expressed in decibels and it is defined as dB is equal to 20 log P by PR, where P is the measured sound pressure level and PR is the reference pressure level. The standard level for PR is 20 micropascal, which is the average threshold of audio perception at 1 kHz. Test line studies indicate that plus or minus 600 kV DC lines would produce an audible noise of 45 to 55 decibels measured at 30 meters from the row center line. This is not considered to be serious. In general, the annoyance produced by the audible noise varies linearly with the conductor surface voltage gradient. Test results also show that positive polarity conductor is the primary source of AN. Rain causes a very slight reduction of audible noise. Audible noise is produced in converter stations by converter transformers and smoothing reactors due to the phenomena of magnetostriction. Although higher AN is to be respected in converter transformers compared to transformers in AC substations due to the presence of harmonics, this is counterbalanced by the operation at lower flux densities in the core. Audible noise has not been a serious problem in converter stations. Space charge ion flow field. Ions produced by corona on overhead DC lines drift through space under the action of electric field and wind. The possible environmental effects due to electric fields and space charges, particularly at the ground level, are matters of concern and have to be considered in transmission planning. In AC lines, the problem of ion flows is not present as all the ions created during the one half cycle are recaptured during the second half cycle by the polarities reversal on the conductor. The net effect is the increase in the diameter of the ionization zone as the surface gradient increases above the critical level. Very few ions escape the ionization zone. Although ion flow fields are absent around AC lines, the time-varying field can induce currents in humans or objects due to capacitive coupling. Experimental studies have shown that magnitudes of these induced currents can be about 100 microamps for a person directly under a typical EHV or UHV line. Such capacitive coupling effects are not present with DC fields. The current induced under DC fields is due to the flow of ions. Current density in ampere per meter square can be obtained from the relationship J is equal to K rho E. K is the ion mobility, that is 1.8 into 10 power minus 4 meter per second per volt per meter for negative ions. Rho is the charge density in coulombs per meter cube. E is the electric field strength in volts per meter. The charge density at ground level can be calculated from rho is equal to epsilon delta E, where epsilon is the electric permittivity. Total current intercepted by a person at ground level is the current density multiplied by the equivalent area, which is related to the height. For a person of height 1.73 meters, maximum current intercepted is around 3 microamps under a line operating at plus or minus 600 volts. Incidentally, the threshold of perception level for direct current is 5.2 milliamp for men and 3.5 milliamp for women. These levels are higher than the threshold levels for AC currents. Total electric field at the ground level is superposition of the space charge field and the electrostatic field. The lateral ground level profiles of the electrostatic and electric fields is shown in the figure. The computation of ion flow fields is complex as nonlinear partial differential equations are involved. Computations are simplified by Drude's major assumption that the space charge affects only the magnitude and not the direction of the electric field. This reduces the two-dimensional ion field problem to one-dimensional problem. Recent research efforts are directed at improving the accuracy of computations without Drude's assumption, thus allowing the considerations of the effects of wind velocity. DC line insulators. Insulator strings of a DC line are made up of porcelain or toughened glass. As in the case of AC lines, insulator performance is evaluated in terms of critical flashover voltage and critical withstand voltage. Critical flashover voltage is defined as statistical mean of a data group on a specific insulator specimen. Analysis assumes Gaussian distribution. The critical withstand voltage CWS is defined as CWS is equal to CFO minus 3 sigma. Sigma is the standard deviation. CWS represents voltage level with 0.13% probability of flashover. It is to be noted here that overvoltage should result only in flashover and not puncture of the insulators. There are special problems with direct voltage stresses on an insulator. First problem is that of ion migration that will take place in the insulating material, which is a function of temperature. Insulating material should have very little ion migration even at high ambient temperatures. There can be thermal runaway due to the ionic conduction in a very narrow zone of the dielectric, which results in aging of the dielectric. Current that flows in the insulator body is dependent on the resistivity, which is a function of the temperature. There is also the phenomenon of electrolytic process due to the creepage currents along the surface of the insulator. These currents cause the electrodes to increase in volume, partly through the decomposition of material and partly as a result of chemical processes. The insulator design must take this into account to avoid mechanical failures. Insulator string is subjected to the direct voltage in addition to transient impulses of different waveforms. The creepage distance of an insulator is determined by the operating direct voltage, while the string length is determined by the impulse voltage level. Increasing the string length influences the height of the towers and their costs. As transient overvoltages are smaller with DC lines, there is an economic incentive to make the ratio of creepage distance to string length as great as possible. Major problem with DC insulators is that the accumulation of contamination through the direct voltage stresses is higher than with AC lines. Collection of dirt particles is also less uniform than with AC. Providing collector rings close to the ends of the string helps in making the field distribution more uniform and reducing the accumulation of contamination. Insulators will be cleaned by heavy rain while the fog or dew, which makes the dirt conductive without removing it, can result in flashover. At times of unfavorable weather conditions, it may be desirable to operate the DC line at lower voltages by converter control or by removing some of the series connected bridges. The geometry between the conductor and the tower can be viewed as that of a rod plane gap. The withstand strength of such gaps is higher with a combination of impulse and direct voltage than with pure impulse alone. This behavior is shown in the figure where CWS is plotted as a function of the gap length. So withstand voltage versus gap length is shown in the figure. Flashovers are caused by lighting strokes which usually affect one pole of the bipolar line. Due to coupling between the two poles, overvoltages can occur in the healthy pole. Insulation design must take this into account and prevent consequential fault on the healthy pole. Transient overvoltages in DC line. Pole to ground faults in bipolar DC lines can result in transient overvoltages in the healthy pole of magnitudes exceeding 2.0 per unit. Maximum overvoltage occurs at midpoint in a pole when the fault is also at the midpoint of the other pole. For off-center faults, maximum overvoltage occurs at a location which is a mirror image of the fault location. For example, if a fault occurs at a point of 1/3 distance from the sending end, overvoltage occurs at a point of 1/3 distance from the receiving end. There are two modes of traveling waves on a bipolar DC line. One is termed as the pole-to-pole mode, while other is termed as pole-to-ground mode. If the pre-fault voltage is V at a given location, it can be shown that immediately after the fault, voltage at the other pole rises by an amount delta V, which is given as delta V is equal to Z0 minus Z1 by Z0 plus Z1 into V, where Z1 and Z0 are the surge impedances of the first and second mode respectively. Generally, Z0 is greater than Z1. For typical values of Z0 and Z1, delta V is equal to 0.3 volts. So these are the diagram showing for inductive, capacitive and resistive modes, three modes, okay. Time versus voltage in per unit. Traveling waves originating at the fault location travel in both directions and they are reflected by the terminals. Kind of termination at the converter station are inductive, capacitive or resistive, has a bearing on the voltage waveform at the converter and in the line. Typical voltage waveforms at the midpoint and the terminal are shown in the figure for inductive, capacitive and resistive termination. So first diagram is showing for inductive, second for capacitive, third for resistive. Parameter of the DC filter also affects the nature of the terminal voltage waveform. Following conclusions can be drawn from a digital computer study of the transient over voltages. First one is with capacitive termination to the wavefront. Overvoltage in the unfaulted pole is caused by pole-to-pole mode. Attenuation and distortion of this mode is slight. Second one is the surge capacitor, while helping in reducing the overvoltage at the terminal, does this at the expense of a DC line. It is desirable to use a surge arrestor to protect the terminal against over voltages. Third one, resistive termination to the wavefront with R equal to Z1 is the best and can be achieved by putting R equal to Z1 in the high pass DC filter and not having a surge capacitor. Fourth one, with inductive termination to the wavefront, over voltages are caused by the pole to ground mode for which the attenuation is substantial. Fifth one, it is desirable to provide extra insulation around the middle portion of the DC line to take care of the highest over voltages that may occur in that zone. Sixth one, with capacitive termination, lowest limit on the dV by dt setting of the line fault protection is determined by the maximum fault resistance above which the fault will not be detected. It is necessary to provide a time delay in the operation of the protection using dV by dt to prevent the tripping of the healthy pole. Typically, a time delay of about 3 milliseconds may be adequate. The test carried out on Pacific Inter-T and subsequent simulation using digital computer have shown that modeling of frequency-dependent characteristics of the line for both modes is essential for accurate prediction of the over voltages. Protection of DC line. The fault current immediately following a fault is limited by the surge impedance and is of the order of 2.0 per unit. Current controller at the rectifier acts to limit this current to the pre-fault current. If the inverter current control is also active and power reversal in the inverter is permitted, inverter current will be maintained at a value which will differ from the rectifier current by the current margin. This implies that the fault current in steady state is equal to the current margin. Although this is much less than the currents in AC line faults, clearing of the fault will require current to be brought to zero and sufficient time given for the deionization of the arc path. For fast clearing of DC line faults, it is necessary that the inverter is not allowed to operate as a rectifier and the rectifier is put into the inverter mode by sudden increase in the delay angle to its maximum limit. Converter at both the terminals will help in discharging the energy stored in the DC circuit and delivering it to the AC system. Current and voltage in the DC line fall to zero and help in deionizing the arc path. After some time has elapsed, line may be automatically energized by restarting the converters. If the restart is unsuccessful, protection action will be de-energize the line again. Normally, 3 attempts will be made to restart automatically with increasing dead time. Failure to restart even after 3 attempts will imply permanent fault and require shutdown of the link until the fault is located and cleared. Alternately, reduced voltage will restart may be tried out if the insulation failure is due to heavy pollution on the line insulators and in bad weather. Automatic deionization and restarting of the DC link is similar to the clearing of the fault and automatic reclosure in AC lines. Major difference in the two cases being that while breakers are used in AC lines, clearing and restarting is performed in DC systems using only converter control with the help of protective relays. Detection of line fault. Normal converter control is not adequate for clearing the fault. Deionization of the line by driving the rectifier into the inverter mode requires special control action which is initiated on detecting the line fault. The detection of the line fault is based on one of the following conditions. First is sudden drop in the DC voltage measured on the line side of the reactor. Second is sustained low direct voltage. So mathematically these conditions are expressed as Vd is less than K1 and dVd by dt is less than minus A for a duration of tau greater than tau 1. Second one, Vd is less than K2 for a duration of tau greater than T2, where K1, K2 and A are positive parameters that are chosen along with tau 1 and tau 2. Criteria for selecting these parameters as follows. First one is selectivity, second is sensitivity, third is reliability. So first one is selectivity to ensure that the protection operates rapidly for DC line faults and not for AC faults or converter faults. Smoothing reactor will prevent the rate of voltage drop in the line exceeding a limit for AC and converter faults. By choosing a higher than this limit, it is ensured that the voltage derivative unit does not operate for faults other than DC line faults. Selectivity is desirable as the dead time required for deionization of arc path in the case of DC line faults is unnecessary in case of AC or converter faults. Second is sensitivity. DC line protection must operate satisfactorily for normal values of the arc resistance, and this puts an upper limit on A. Reliability. Protection must operate reliably for all DC line faults, including faults through a high resistance. This is the reason for providing the voltage level unit. Protection against DC line faults with VSC. Unlike in CSC based HVDC links, DC voltage in VSC based links cannot be reversed, and DC capacitors at both rectifier and inverter stations will discharge into the faults. In addition, VSC can feed current to the fault. Blocking of the converter does not help, as a freewheeling diodes will continue to feed the fault. This implies that on detecting DC line faults, converters need to be isolated from the AC system by opening the AC breakers. As an alternative, DC breaker can be employed to isolate the converters from the DC line when a line fault is detected. This can be faster than the operation of the AC breakers. VSC based HVDC projects commissioned so far invariably use DC cables instead of overhead lines. Although the cable faults tends to be permanent, the probability of cable faults is much less than in a overhead line in which temporary insulation failure can occur due to lighting strikes or due to tree branches, pollution or mechanical failures. So thank you students for watching the video. Next class I will be talking about the DC breakers, basic concepts of DC circuit interruption, and characteristics and types of DC breakers, applications of DC breakers, monopolar operation, effects of proximity of AC and DC transmission lines. Thank you everyone for watching the video.